we're all just going to be a little more toddler-esque in connecting to our needs and connecting to our internal compass. Neptune in Aries is a time where we are going to be feeling things into creation. We are going to be feeling them and taking action to transform right away. This is an era where things happen quickly and radical change can happen with our spirituality, our sense of unconditional love, the way that we all connect to one another, oceans, and the way that we manage medicine and dissociation in our world. This video is all about the changes that Neptune in Aries is going to bring to each of us. This is a generational new era. We are starting a brand new 165-year cycle. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and represents new beginnings. We have just finished a more than usual amount of solar eclipses in the sign of Aries starting in 2023 that have been preparing us for this longer 14-year deep dive exploration of what the fog of Neptune can bring to the fiery, motivated, inspired, wants to get going, gusto, quick moving, and vibrant sign of Aries. Watch this whole intro as it applies to all signs, all generations, everyone on this planet and beyond. And then the sign by sign will give you a sense of how this energy can show up in your life. Watch your sun, moon, and rising and combine all three to get a better understanding of how this could look in your life. And if you know just your sun sign, that's fine too. And the general overview will give you a really good sense of what's showing up. The sign of Aries, being the first of the zodiac, is spring. It is bursting forth new life, new energy. And with that comes excitement, fire, drive, motivation. There's a strength in the ram of fiery energy and pushing forward into bold new places. It is that bravery, bold action that we need to embark on something new that hasn't been done before. Neptune has been in its home sign of Pisces, and Pisces is the 12th house of the zodiac. It is the final sign in the zodiac wheel. The wheel doesn't start incomplete, but rather it evolves to new stages. And when we have had the ruler of Neptune brewing in its own sign, in some ways that has been the beginning, the precipice of this new era that we're stepping into. Neptune has been Neptunifying itself. When a planet is in its own sign, it's like it gets a upgrade or vamp of its own energy. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011 and will completely be in Aries for good by 2026, the beginning of 2026. Neptune is going to give us a taste in Aries from March 31st until later October, when it retrogrades back into Pisces. Saturn similar, but for a shorter period. Then they will both be in Aries for quite some time, 14 years for Neptune, 3 years for Saturn, come January, February of 2026. What's important is that there is a bit of back and forth this year as we get ready to embark on the physical manifestation of what has been brewing energetically in Pisces. This fall, we're going to go back to any leftover lessons or experiences that we need to have in Pisces to really master the brewing phase. Pisces is this merging with the collective and the energy that forms before something physical manifests. We might have lessons around dissociation versus connection. And on the more material plane, Pisces rules intoxication and drugs and film and creativity and art, being intoxicated by alcohol as well, things that dissociate us, as well as overseas retreats and vacations. It is a time out energy. It is a time out energy where rest is actually manifesting its own thing energetically. Neptune also rules sleep and Pisces. It is this sleep stage that, as we know as humans, and we're learning more and more of all the time, that is crucial for our health and productivity. We're in an era where we are resting less and less, that even when we do rest, we're dealing with a lot of external stimulation in our environment. A lot of the electronics that we use on a daily basis interfere with our natural circadian rhythms of sleep. And it is a type of brain stimulation that we are learning to adapt to and get used to. We are reprogramming our brains to operate in a way that's going to help us function for a new way forward. Our processing is speeding up. Our ability to do more things in 1 minute is speeding up. But the side effect and the downside of that is that we are more easily distracted. It is harder to focus on one thing. And so we're exercising these new ways of being when it comes to processing more all at once and connecting to that much more information. This does have some overlay to my Pluto and Aquarius video. I will link that in the description below. But I think these two go very well together, where we are going through an energetic reprogramming to be able to connect to energy and others even more and in a better way, in a more efficient way. We are aligning with who we are as spiritual beings so that the action that we take out in the world is connected and in congruence with that. If we are acting in ways that are not in alignment with what our soul and energetic state really wants, like if we need sleep and we force ourselves to stay up all night, we feel pretty awful the next day, for the most part, unless that's what your brain really needs. And then you might be tired, but you won't feel so awful. But what I'm trying to say is that it's this friction and disconnect between what we need at an energetic soul level and what we're doing in the world in an action-based way. So here we go, Neptune and Aries, where there is going to be this fog of Neptune battling with the fire and gusto and motivation of Aries. Neptune in the conditions of Aries means that Neptune is going to be forced to face more action than it is designed to, than it feels comfortable in its natural being. Neptune feels more comfortable being in the flow of the ocean, and that is its strength. It molds and merges and connects to all. But this call to action in Aries is going to make film industry and spirituality and all that is somewhat intangible feel this motivation and urge to be born, to come into form, to be in the form of action. We could see new forms of meditation that are more efficient and quick. We might be able to drop into a state of relaxation and intuition without this long process that historically we have done to get to those places. We could have more challenges in the drug industry, whether that be recreational or medicinal. We could start to have a new born way of dealing with drugs and intoxicants, again, pharmaceutical included. So this is also oceans and the way that we clean up and deal with oceans. What I like about Aries energy is that quickness. Things that used to take a long time with Neptunian topics can become more efficient. I can certainly see that in the film industry, that we have technology that could speed up that process, and what used to take months and years for a film to accomplish can maybe be done much faster with AI. The challenging side of Aries can be that this is the inexperienced, uninformed optimism, as they say. This is a lot of great ideas wanting to take form, but no experience. That is going to be highlighted by Saturn when Saturn joins Neptune in Aries on May 25th. Saturn could have an abrupt dose of reality when it joins the party. As Saturn will slow things down, we might see repercussions for whatever has happened between March 31st and May 25th. It's a small window, but there's going to be a sense of, okay, this is the work. This is what it's actually going to take. I think Saturn is a saving grace in this scenario. Saturn is not at its best in Aries conditions. They're very, very different energies in that Saturn is the wise old grandfather who knows that certain actions have repercussions and that going slow is best, following a certain amount of steps and getting to the end whenever that happens, but making sure that we are diligent in the process. Aries doesn't care so much about what the finish line looks like or the process looks like. It just wants to get going. It's really an interesting combination of all very opposite energies, even elements. Neptune is water, Saturn is earth, and Aries is fire. And Pluto's in an air sign of Aquarius. So it's well balanced, a merging of all of the right elements in some ways. It's just, we might, with energy like this, we might feel a lot of push and pull in different directions. This is a beautiful energy combination for everyone to individuate in what that really means. I think more than ever, we're going to be making room for each of us to act in ways that matter most to us. We could even see structures split off into groups, much smaller groups, where people can be themselves and feel more aligned rather than a more overarching way that humans should operate. We are going to see that there's value in the individual expression. And I love how much astrology aligns with this. Astrology is this imprint of each individual and how unique we are. I was listening to a recording by MOSHE WOLFE, and it was about Neptune, and that we all come from different backgrounds. We have different influences on our chart based on cultural upbringing, family upbringing, where in the world we are. And so there are all these little pockets of what makes us so unique and so individual. And in so many ways, we have been expected to all function under the same teachings and the same umbrella, sometimes even the same religious and spiritual beliefs, which are covered under Neptune. And I think that this is going to be a moment in time where we start to connect with what we believe and look within for something that is true and a compass to live our lives by. Our values and what matters to each of us on an individual level are going to mean so much more than what is expected of us by society, by the way that religions have laid out ethical behavior in the past, by the way our government lays out laws that govern how we should operate. And that maybe is an effect of Saturn in this mix in Aries, that the Saturn is the structures. It can represent more of the laws and government structures and societal structures, really, that we live by. But this is going to somehow break down those walls a little bit, and we're all just going to be a little more toddler-esque in connecting to our needs and connecting to our internal compass. A toddler won't eat if they are not hungry. They will not sleep if they are not tired. They will not sleep if they're overtired. But the point is that a toddler is still very in tune with their internal rhythms and what really matters. So we could see a bit of that. On the challenging side is that this is action without understanding the repercussions. We have a long journey of this, especially with Saturn here to hold our hand as we go through this. So the first 3 years, it's a very unique transit to have Saturn join Neptune at the same time in the first sign of the zodiac. I think this is a wonderful hand holding from the grandfather or grandmother and that wise elder experience that we're taking with us. This era has knowledge and history as a support system more than ever because of the internet, because we have access to so much knowledge that we never did before with different transits and different new beginnings in the world. 30 years in-ish with the internet, it has been 20 years, almost 20 years since most of us have had a smartphone. Apple came out with the first iPhone in 2007. We are pretty familiar to being resourceful with extra information, and it is time that we put that extra information to change and to transform and the precipice of a whole new beginning of self and individual. But with Saturn, this taste of wisdom and slowness and meticulousness and desire to go the long haul, we are being smart about this transition. We are still in this infancy stage. So we are bound to trip up. We are bound to make mistakes because we're talking about Neptune. We're talking largely about our spiritual beliefs, our creative minds, our intuitive minds, and putting that into action. We have a lot of wisdom to lean on, and I think that's what makes this new 165-year cycle so special, and that is why Saturn and Neptune are holding hands in this process. They are dancing together 1 degree apart, maybe less at certain points, and they come into a full conjunction of starting a new cycle in 2026 at the beginning, likely around February. Then they move forward to officially start this new transition for quite some time. On a personal level, this is going to speak to how we use our intuition and our sense of self in the most practical, sensible ways and apply it to day-to-day life so that we are in alignment with what is really right for us, not the families that we came from, not the society that we are a part of. Though we are not going to disconnect from that, we are going to merge more fully with Neptune because that's what Neptune's goal is. But we are going to do it from a place of feeling like we get to have our own autonomy and be the best versions of ourselves to merge with others and create a whole new world. There can be a sense of over-optimism from March 31st until Saturn joins at the end of May. And even with Saturn there, we can fluctuate a little bit. And I will be here to talk about it all along the way. There will be many transits to Neptune that are important. We have Pluto and Uranus sending lovely sextiles to Saturn and Neptune as they enter this new era in Aries. It's really quite special to have both of those other outer, slower moving generational planets in beautiful triangle with Saturn and Neptune as they travel together for the first time in aeons. I have for Saturn and Neptune to cycle together and into the first sign of the zodiac while having Pluto and Uranus sextile this conjunction and trine each other. This is godsend. This is the beautiful interaction of humanity and the planets and wherever it is that this transit is taking us. I look forward to figuring it out all along the way with you. Thank you so much for listening and being here and joining me for this journey. If you would like to process some of this with your personal chart, you can see how this really special conglomeration of energy is hitting specific points in your chart. This is going to show up differently for every person. There will be this collective energy that we are all going to feel, but it really depends on what else is going on at a personal level as far as how this might be absorbed. I will link my website for one-on-one Zoom readings there. Would love to see you there. And now let's get into your sign. Next, let's do a breakdown of how this is going to show up for each sign Check your sun, moon, and rising. And now let's get into your sign. Hi, Aquarius. Neptune and Saturn are traveling into Aries in your third house. This is all about communication, media, your mind, neighbors, close distance travel, and your community that's really close by. People that are close to you, siblings, cousins, close relatives. But this is a communication house, and this is elementary school if this applies. But this is more about the daily mind and how you get things done and how you express those daily mental habits into form, which is why it's media. This is the house of Gemini and Mercury and ideas. You are an Aquarius. You are going to get this surge of being able to apply Uranian, outrageous, revolutionary, brand new, groundbreaking, never been done before ideas into media and into the world. And the world is going to be ready to receive your unique expression. This is a wonderful time for people who live a bit differently, think a bit differently. There might even be wounds around expressing things that are different that you have been working through that are now ready to be born. Chiron has been in Aries and will continue to, and Chiron is the wounded healer. So you carry a wound here, or at least there's one that is being activated while Chiron is in Aries in your third house. Maybe it's even being created. I will talk about the smaller transits all along the way, but just be mindful of that. And as an Aquarius, one of your strengths is to overcome other people's judgment. There's a bit of a dissociation and detachment from caring about what other people think. Each of your individual charts are going to be different and speak to that differently. But just as an Aquarius, this is part of why Aquarius can come up with such unique ideas and thinks a bit differently and sees the world differently, because you have in some way allowed yourself to. And now, whether it's media or writing or just thinking differently, you're going to put this into a whole new level of creation for the next 14 years. Uranus, your ruler, is in your fourth house, and it is in lovely aspect to Pluto in your first house, and then this Saturn Neptune in your third house. This is extra energy for waking up that outrageous and uniquely different internal part of yourself. Your family of origin might be encouraging this, or maybe you came from a family that did allow this to be born in you. And if not, this is just your own home where you are right now. Could be connected to where this creative energy is heightened. And because Pluto is in your first house, this is part of that total transformation of self. I'm really excited to see what Aquarians put out in the world during this time. Pluto is 19 years, I think we have left. Neptune being 14 in your third house. Uranus is moving on soon to your fifth house. That's going to happen in July, and I will make another video about that. But just know that that's adding even more to your creative self-expression. I cannot emphasize enough how uniquely radical this time of expression is for Aquarians. It's like Aquarius itself is getting a new definition of what Aquarians are capable of, given that we live in a new technological era, a new era of connection, psychic intuition. Even though Pisces gets a lot of the credit for our psychic ability and connection to all through the energetic spaces, Aquarius is a big piece of that too. Aquarius is the internet. Aquarius is our nervous systems. Aquarius is a system without a center, and it is more of the physiological ways that we connect with others, being the internet and being our nervous systems. That is the physical energy behind the psychic attunement with Pisces. It is as if Aquarius does it through communication being an air sign, and those more practical tools like the internet and our nerves in a health representation of. So what I'm saying is that you are the actual connector of the psychic activity. Aquarians often do that through art and through their inventions and inventiveness. Just as Jupiter is leaving your fifth house where you have been brewing more creativity, Uranus pops in and is like, let's make this more radical. Let's make this wilder and cooler and more innovative and more helpful and more useful. So there really is a lovely blend of making this creative self-expression functional, which Saturn is the historical ruler of Aquarius, and that gives you the ability to put things into material form that actually work. That is why Uranus also rules science and scientists, and Aquarius is that it is science that helps get us there in the practical sense. And there is a level of practicality to this wild inventiveness. I think of Einstein. I think he's a very lovely, I should check his chart, but his just look with the white crazy hair and the big grin, I mean, that is the picture of Aquarius in action. Then you're going to have Jupiter move on to your sixth house, where you are going to get a lot of benefit in work. Your work and productivity is going to expand. You might be even using some of your own tools of efficiency in AI to get that much more function. You can look forward to that. From June 9th, Jupiter will move into Cancer, and it is exalted. So you're going to have even more of the benefits of Jupiter's healing and expansive and luck. Work is going to be very lucky. Health, productivity, routines, wellness. A lot of Aquarians could be putting revolutionary change into health and wellness if that's part of the direction you're headed in, or just organization and functionality in the world. Like I said, I'm so excited to see what Aquarians put out there. Let me know in the comments below what you're working on, how this aligns with you, and we will chat about it all along the way. I'm sure you are experiencing a hint of it, and we will see what gets thrown into structure and reality come May. Thank you so much for being here, Aquarius. And if you would like a one-on-one birth chart reading with me, I do live Zoom calls. I will link that in the description below. My rates will be changing. They're still at my introductory Canadian rate for the time being. So check that out and don't miss out on the discounted opportunity before that changes. And I will see you next time. Pisces. This is a second house transit for you. So Neptune and Saturn are moving into your second house, and yay! They have moved on from Pisces for now. Each transit has its gifts, but by the end of a long transit, most of us are ready to have a planet move out of our sign, even your own planet. So you have been extra Piscean, extra Neptunified, and you have had these Neptune qualities packaged up, slowed down, materialized, protected, encased, and manufactured and ready for delivery by Saturn. So you are another sign that has a lot to offer this process, because it is the energetic brewing that we have been focusing on that is your skill. This is what you put forward best in the world. And you're about to see what that feels like when it goes into your second house, which is your assets, your values, your belongings, your monetary gains, and the way that your assets grow can change at this time. Neptune can create some fog around what you value so that you can break through the fog and really hone in on what matters. While Saturn is here, you're going to be restructuring your values. You're going to have experiences that initially cause some confusion, but then force you to question what is practical. You might have had more impulsive energy when it comes to your values and the way that you ingest food, the way that you nurture your body, which is also the second house, the clothing that you buy, the way that you spend your money, the way that you manage your own energy. But that was part of Saturn in Pisces, is that you got to experience what it was like, what it felt like to have your energy and the way that you manage it restructured. And now it is probably going to be emphasized even more in the second house with what you give and what you receive and how you grow your energy, how you grow your assets, what you invest in and what you value. What you invest in and what you value could be fresh starts and new beginnings in some way. They could be some fun, childlike things that you really align yourself with and that you have a strong value around. So this will be refined with your ruler Neptune and Saturn in Aries. I suspect that a lot of Pisces out there, with the energy that you've been going through with Neptune in your sign since 2011 and Saturn there for the past couple of years, especially the last couple of years, you have been adjusting your ruler Neptune and going through that more restrictive energy that can feel suffocating maybe at times, especially for a Pisces energy that likes to expand and disperse. Saturn confines and slows down, and whatever lessons the ability that you gained to contain your own energy there is what you're going to be putting into work or into action in the second house. So any impulsive movements with your energy or your assets or your values are going to be adjusted now. You're going to start to see the value of holding back, experiencing everything in a bit more of a Saturnian container. But you yourself are going to feel more like yourself with Neptune and Saturn moving on now. With Neptune there, it was almost not too much Pisces, but the ability to expand and disperse and lose energy and get even more lost in the fog could have happened in this process of amplifying Pisces energy. And then the restriction from Saturn, again, doesn't always feel great as you're putting things into a material process. So your personal energy is going to be feeling a lot better, a lot more vibrant. You're going to feel more clear on who you are and what you have to offer the world. And now you're going to be preserving that. You're going to be preserving what you value, which is your energy, which is Piscean-like things like art, intuitive connection, divine connection, unconditional love, an understanding and of us being connected to all things, but also this sense of immersion and equality in that with the right amount is what the second house says. There could be a dance for the first little bit of losing or choosing to give up certain assets in order to restructure and create more gains long term. That could be part of the dance and the nuance of getting more clear on how you're going to restructure the second house with Saturn there. Voice and energy is also included here. So you might be some of you might be going through some changes with how you express your energy through your voice and through your clothing and the foods that you eat and ingest. That's the cyclical part of energy in and energy out. Uranus is in your third house and Pluto is sextiling this entrance of Aries energy from your 12th house. That is using your intuition with Pluto in your 12th house. That is really transforming that connection to vast new levels. You could feel like you are successfully battling some demons, given that this is a sextile. So you're going to see how, even more clearly, how to keep the energy in that you want and that's helpful and useful, and to keep distorted energy that is more challenging for you at bay. And you are going to have the words, the revolutionary words, to express this and share it with others in a practical sense with this third house, Uranus, sextile to this journey of Saturn and Neptune. Uranus will move on to your fourth house in July, and that's going to be a different flavor. That's going to be, again, more of an internal transformation of radical change. Your living situation and home life could be something that's out of the norm. We will get to more of that closer to July. For now, the second house, the 12th house, the third house are the big things to watch for. And I can't wait to see the communication that starts to come from Pisces and the journey that a lot of you Pisceans have been on. Pisces is also a sign that perceives a lot, but doesn't share that necessarily with other people. And now's the time. Now's the time when the rest of the world is going to understand what you have to say more, and they're going to understand the perceptions that a Pisces has. Historically, I think Pisces have felt more misunderstood. It's been more of an experience of feeling and perception rather than being able to articulate and connect with the rest of the world in ways that are more human. There's always been that being able to sense everything and tune in energetically. But now that development of communication is coming in strong, it's going to be another way that life is transforming for you. And yes, share your sensations and wisdom with the rest of us. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know how things are going for you. And if you would like to process more of this with your birth chart, I love seeing you for my one-on-one Zoom readings. I will link that in the description below. Thank you so much for being here, watching, liking, subscribing, and just being you, Pisces. I will see you next time. Aries, this is a time where you might feel called to a spiritual action more than usual of some kind. This could be for yourself or for others. A lot of Aries could be stepping into a spiritual leadership role, and this is a time where your Aries qualities are really needed and welcomed. This is a time where people are finally going to be able to keep up with the Aries pace that you have been wanting to take your intuition, your spirituality, your art, your conscious processing, filmmaking, if you are involved in that. Before we light up the world with Aries speed, though, Saturn is going to be here to show you how to slow down enough to meet people where they're at. When you have these planets in your first house, this is about revising the tools that you have to move forward in this world. You are going through Saturnization. You are going through Neptunization, and the two of them at the same time, which is such a special time to incarnate as an Aries. The gift that you bring to the world is your speed, your motivation, your inspiration, your belief that things can get done without thinking about the hurdles and the hard work and the setbacks that can happen along the way. You have the power and the what it takes to do both, to bring Saturn into this equation and adapt to more Saturnian qualities. In this process, Saturn can bring a depressing feel to it, and Aries is used to this high energy frequency, which this fiery energy that can sometimes feel ungrounded. Aries individuals might feel that way sometimes, and it just depends on your personal chart so much. So this is not everybody, but this is one condition that Saturn can bring. And I do want to talk about that because I am someone that is very familiar with what Saturn can feel like. And it has so many gifts in this slowing down, but the fire in me wants to resist when Saturn brings the element of grounding and practicality to the equation. So just roll with it the best that you can. It's going to come in waves where you're going to get used to the Saturn energy and the redirection that it's trying to create in your life. And then you'll just feel normal again. And then you might hit another wave where it's going to ebb and flow. And it's only a couple of years, but the gifts that Saturn is going to bring from this slowing down process and transforming the structure of maybe your body, maybe the way you move through the world, maybe the way other people see you. This transformation is going to be so worth it. So, well, I'm talking to an Aries. I was going to say be patient with this process. Enjoy the ebb and flow moment to moment. That is one of your strengths, is feeling things in the moment. I think you're going to love the creative energy that Neptune brings. There's going to be so much change that I think Neptune is also going to feel a bit foggy. It is a saving grace that Neptune and Saturn are traveling together in a lot of ways, because Saturn will cut that fog and make sense of things. You're going to have a strong desire to make sense of any fogginess around self. And it is that very process that is going to make you more connected with who you are more than ever. Uranus finishing a transit in your second house, sending beautiful sextile to this Neptune and Saturn. This is radical self-worth. This is money and resources expanding out of nowhere that can help you during this transition, or expand in ways that were unforeseen, at least. Pluto is on a deep transformation of your connections and your community, and they are also sending lovely vibrations to this transition that you are going through with Saturn and Neptune, as well as you sending positive energy to those two planets. It is a synergistic energy that's happening between all four. This to me says that the universe has your back. Your friends have your back. Your assets, your values, they're all here to support you in ways that you won't see coming sometimes. But whatever it is that maybe you have wanted to change with self and community and assets is about to embark on that transformation. Jupiter is sending a square from your fourth house to Saturn and Neptune in your first. This can be uncomfortable expansion at times, so your home life could change, and that could be sudden, maybe not uncomfortable. Jupiter is a benefic planet, as we say, so it brings good things, even in a square often. That can just be that something sudden from outside of your course of action changes, and that has to do with home. So for Aries out there, to have Jupiter on your angles in the fourth house and Neptune and Saturn just on the angle and cusp of Aries is extra strong energy. So it is going to kickstart with a big boom, very Aries style. And then you're going to just kind of sail through the rest of the Neptune adjustments. I look forward to chatting with you all along the way. I also want to hear all of your input. Let me know what's going on with you in the comments below and every step of the way, because it is Aries that are going to be feeling this so strongly. And it really is such a cool time in the world and in astrology and in human existence for everyone becoming a bit more Aries-like in our day-to-day lives. Thank you so much for being here, watching, liking, commenting, but honestly, just watching, it means so much. Check out my link in the description below if you would like a one-on-one Zoom reading to help process some of this change with your personal chart. I love seeing you there, and I will see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This is a 12th house transit for you, and the 12th house is the Piscean house. So this is the intuitive connection, the energetic connection, your ability to feel into the unseen world and sleep and rest. And this is where you recharge. This is where you get insights and where the body heals in order to be reborn into the first house. You have also had Uranus in your sign since 2018. It is about to move on to Gemini in July. Uranus in your sign is also a very intuitive and psychic type of transformation. except it's the electric kind. It's the kind that can fry your nerves a little bit in order to make them more sensitive and pick up on more information. A lot of Tauruses out there, especially first house, might be going through this process. And as a Taurus, you might be more resilient to that sensation compared to others. But think about 2018 and how that has felt until now. Have you felt like you've had erratic, more heightened energy than usual, that your more grounded self has been harder to access, that sometimes life has just been physically uncomfortable? That is Uranus at work, doing a number on your nerves, and it is going to heighten your connection to this world of feeling and merging with energy. That is what is now happening with Neptune and Saturn in your 12th house. With Saturn here, this is interesting because I think some of you will actually face more of a blockage and a slowdown with psychic activity, overseas places, if this is more practical sense. The 12th house can be hospitals, prisons, anywhere that you are away from society. So this can be a rest phase. This can be a time where you feel a bit more removed from the day-to-day grind in order to recalibrate into something else. Especially while Saturn is here, because that's going to be the more scrutinizing slowdown to adjust to Neptune in the 12th house. If you feel like you are being forced to rest, this can be part of the regenerative process of this energy taking hold. Uranus in your first house is actually quite taxing, and some of you might have external circumstances that allow you and give you the opportunity to take a time out. This can just plain old dissolve certain things in your life, especially when it comes to continuing to dissolve structures of self and security and the need for security, where that need for security comes from. And the 10th house desires to be seen, public image, status. Maybe you have desires there, maybe you don't, but Pluto is going to do a complete upheaval and reversal in this 19-year process here in your 10th house. But for now, it is this conglomeration of a story of Neptune and Saturn in your 12th, Pluto in your 10th, and Uranus in your sign about to move into your second house that speaks to a bigger story of dissolving old ways of being, transforming your psyche and your subconscious and things in a hidden way. So this might be going on in the background, and some of you might not even really realize the process that's happening. You might just slowly, day by day, start to feel more in tune with the cycles in an energetic way. Even astrology could start to feel like more of a pattern that you can feel and connect to. Perhaps the transformations that you have been going through with Uranus in your sign are creating a whole new career, and that's part of this Pluto transformation in the 10th house of status, reputation, and public image. You could be restructuring more of your psyche and your intuitive abilities with Saturn in your 12th house, and now you have more of that to share with the world. And that is part of the expansion that can happen in your 10th house and your second house. Jupiter is moving into your third house of communication in July, and that means that your ability to articulate all of this is going to heighten. It is going to be in square, which can be a story of tension, and that is to Saturn and Neptune. So you might feel that your ability to express what is going on for you at a psyche level or at a subconscious level is more exaggerated and causing some either more expansion or more challenge in some way. There's going to be some sort of sharper energy that is coming from your third house of daily mindset and expression and media and what it is that's going on in your subconscious. And they're feeding off of each other in a way that is going to expand your subconscious from maybe an overdoing of things in a communication way somehow, maybe through media, maybe through cousins, close relatives, siblings. Watch for that. It is Jupiter, so it is ultimately healing and expansive, but it's almost like it could grow and express too quickly what's happening before it's fully ready. And that makes you reanalyze what's going on at a subconscious and psychic level and then redo the expression part. So that's going to go on for about a year. And it's really mostly noticeable this summer in the beginning of this transit. And as Jupiter moves on, that will soften. But watch for those things. Taurus, overall, this is still about restructuring self. You are going to see that the restructuring that you have done that's been a bit more radical with Uranus in your sign is going to start creating radical change in your values of the second house and your assets potentially as well. And take time to rest where you can. Take time to enjoy overseas travels. You might actually be restricted from overseas travels for some reason for a short period of time while Saturn is in your 12th house, or you might just have some lessons and be drawn to that area so that Saturn can do some work. So it can really manifest in so many different ways. If you would like to see how it's going to show up more specifically for your chart, I can always give clearer representations of the energy based on a birth chart reading. I do live Zoom calls, and I will link the booking website in the description below. Thank you so much for being here, liking, chatting, subscribing. It really means so much, and just being here. Thank you, Taurus. Thank you for being you, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This transit is happening in your 11th house. Saturn and Neptune here can have you sorting through the fog when it comes to your community, your connections, your dreams, your networks, your audience. It's something about the greater good for all, the connections that you have. Do you feel connected? And maybe you're not so sure in some of those areas, or that's what is about to come up. And with Saturn, it can be about traditional ways of operating within these networks and connections versus what is new and what is more Uranian, because we have Uranus sending beautiful angles to this part of your life. This can mean that the connections that you have, the communities that you're a part of, marketplaces too, if you sell things or you have networks of people that are your audience that you sell to with work, there could be some unique way that you're moving forward in this part of your life that has never been done before, that is revolutionary. Or you might be drawn to more revolutionary, youthful, spontaneous, and brave and outgoing Aries type of people. This is also part of the transformation of Pluto in your 9th house. Pluto wants to completely turn your beliefs and your views of the world upside down. It wants to revolutionize the way that you deal with foreign things and foreign places and foreign people and things that are outside of the normal way of conceptualizing things, or the way that you have conceptualized life in the past. There could be something about your assets and self-worth with Jupiter in your 2nd house squaring this transit when it first starts that really brings on a challenge that makes you want to overcome, that makes you want to sort through the muck. If this has to do with communities and networks that you sell to, then maybe it's the way that finances are going, which generally should be growing with Jupiter in your second house. This is a really lovely place to have Jupiter, especially exalted. So maybe it is that your money is growing. Because of that, you want to make different decisions with what you do with it, your networks and community that are connected to your assets and your self-worth in some way. Maybe your self-worth is leveling up and you are realizing that the things, the values that you have and the things that you align with don't necessarily align with the groups and communities that you are a part of. Some friction there could be part of this upcoming change. Neptune and Saturn in your 11th house in Aries could make you want to be more creative, more dreamlike, have an ideal that you've held to with Saturn, maybe a more traditional ideal that is either being challenged or leveling up to meet your needs, to meet where you're at now. With Uranus in the 12th house and Pluto in the 9th house, this could be energy where you are focusing on a more spiritual process. Things are changing in your life that are opening up your psyche and opening up your attention to energy all around you with Uranus in the 12th house. This transit is about to move on, and I have mentioned this briefly in other videos, but Uranus in your first house can be another jolt of hypersensitivity to the networks and energy around you. When this happens in July, this could bring another taste to your networks and groups, in that if you're more hypersensitive energetically to your surroundings, often the people that we surround ourselves is in need of change as well. Neptune can be connected to illusion and disappointment, as well as creativity and rose-colored glasses and optimism and unconditional love. You might be tested in any of these areas with Saturn close by. Do you have unconditional love for the networks and communities that you're surrounded by? Whether this is work or pleasure or just your casual life, this alignment of dreaminess and practicality with Neptune and Saturn is going to come into question and come into action with your ability to be playful with your networks. With Aries as your 11th house energy, you could find that you are always wanting to start fresh with networks and communities. Saturn here can make you want to have things that last for a long time and feel stable and grounded, and not always just starting but not really going anywhere, and not having the longevity of a community and solid network that you feel is there for the test of time. So the need for stability could play a role here, and the need for something to meet your ideals, your ideal expectation of what is brave and outgoing and fiery and has some zest for life, because you have a fire sign in your networks and community. So you want that to be an area of your life that's spiced up. And it might be, though, that if that has been the case, if you've been chasing thrills in your networks and community, then Saturn and Neptune can bring in some nice balance of something that is soothing and spiritual and grounded. The three go really well together once we overcome any challenges of very different energies merging in this part of our lives, in a different part of life for each person. But still, we are all going to be facing that same focus of wanting to integrate fire, earth, and water into this Aries part of our charts. The lovely conditions between the big players like Saturn and Uranus and Pluto, and even the square from Jupiter, because it is Jupiter and it is an exalted Jupiter. So it is a square, but it is just going to be putting the pressure on change. And an exalted Jupiter is, even if it's quick and abrupt, it's going to be a beneficial energy. Saturn and Neptune, with the fogginess and the need for security, there can be some, and in a sign of Aries, this could show up as uncomfortable blending and merging of these conditions, but there is support in the sky. This could really, and this could just really show up in so many ways. But for you, Gemini, it is a lot of Uranian energy. It is your spiritual seeking houses that are activated, your time away from the world, your networks and community, and finding a balance that really works for you. You can expect some exploration of these parts of your chart. You already have been doing this with your 9th and 12th house, your 12th house especially, for quite some time, really changing who you are when it comes to rest and seclusion. And now your networks and friendships are about to go along for this ride and transformation. Let me know how things are going in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here, Gemini, and I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is a 10th house transit for you. So Saturn and Neptune in the 10th in Aries. This is changing the way that you operate with your career, your public image, your reputation. Saturn and Neptune here can really break tradition and bring a spiritual flair to what it is that you do out in the world. Aries is this passionate, fiery energy that you have always had. And depending on your personal chart, this will show up differently for everyone. But Aries in the 10th can make you very outgoing and determined, brave when it comes to your career. You might easily feel inspired to embark on different status and career levels that mark success for you, and you're a go-getter with energy like this when it comes to career and being seen in the world. Saturn and Neptune can bring some missing pieces when it comes to what else is there. You know, once you've achieved a certain amount of gusto and bravery and achievements with Aries in the 10th house, Neptune comes in and it wants more spiritual meaning. It wants more love for the experience. It wants to be able to be creative and dreamlike and really dream things into reality. Saturn is wanting to bring in the tradition, so it can slow things down, which with Aries in your 10th house, depending on who you are again in your personal chart, this could feel a little frustrating and dampening because Saturn can add a sluggishness to the process. But overall, this is going to be really helpful because it's going to help you get a solid foundation in whatever changes you're making now. And a solid foundation when it comes to creativity in the workplace and spirituality, maybe a sense of unconditional love for what you're putting out there. These can be ungrounded qualities with Neptune. There can be some fog, there can be some trouble getting the creativity into a materialized form that's functional and works well, which is important in the 10th house of career and success and achievements and expression out in the world, how others see you. Keep that in mind if during this Saturn in Aries cycle you do feel a bit bogged down by the weight of what the discipline is required to get this out into the world. This is a very big and important cycle for you, and being in the 10th house, this is one of the quadrant axes. That those are the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th. And when we have activity on these angles, it is said to be all that much more potent, all that much more important in what is unfolding for you. You might feel events in the world and in your life happen in a stronger way. These are just going to really help catapult you into the next phase that you're going into. Pluto is in your 8th and Uranus is in your 11th, sending beautiful sextiles to this Saturn and Neptune. Networks and communities are going to be hugely helpful. They're likely to be people and groups of acquaintances, networks that are Uranian in quality. So they will be outrageous, radical, things that have not been done before. They could help you in surprising ways that you didn't see coming. Your allies and groups that you surround yourself with could come up with some of the outrageous and different ideas than what has been done before, and you are the one to execute them out into the world. You might just have an audience that unexpectedly helps you. And this audience also has the capacity to grow your position in the world and help your status and ranking in whatever you're doing. Pluto in the eighth house as well. The eighth house is complete transformation and metamorphosis. It is the phoenix rising from the ashes. Pluto in Aquarius in this part of your chart is again another house where you're getting resources from others. Resources in any way. This can be financial. This can just be support and tools that other people have. An eighth house transit once brought me a living opportunity that helped reduce some of my costs, but it was someone else's space and asset that was helping me out. This support can come in so many different ways. This also does rule death and rebirth and birth and psychological healing and transformation, sudden reversals. So if you are maybe not used to getting support, that can completely change. Maybe the support that you're getting can come from a completely different place than what you're used to. However this unfolds, you have a beautiful triangle of sextiles and trines between these planets, really emphasizing a support of this journey. And even if struggles are a piece of this, which it is life, and we do have a mix of both, the struggles can be bonus benefits and the benefits can be struggles in the end. We just don't always know how it's going to play out. Jupiter in your first house is squaring Saturn and Neptune as it enters Aries in your 10th house. This is also a big deal. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and that brings extra Jupiterian benefits. Square can bring sudden change and abrupt change. It can just be really quick movement. It can be something that's uncomfortable in the moment, but ultimately has healing and expansive benefits. It can sever something. So maybe Jupiter in your first house, these changes that you're going through with you, Cancer, are somehow going to sever your status, sever an old career, dissolve a reputation and a public image that is really important for what's to come. Neptune can do that too. It is an energy that dissolves. If there is a foundation that is not strong, Neptune is going to come in and melt things away or shake them away. But Saturn is here to help you regrow a foundation, and that is what Saturn does best. So don't fret if anything crumbles or needs to get dissolved in this process. That is not necessarily going to be the case for everyone involved, but that could be a piece of the story for some, just with this square from Jupiter, and really how strong the changes can be when you have Jupiter on the angle of your first house, squaring two big planets, Neptune and Saturn, on the angle of your 10th house, as they are just entering these signs. There's a potency with that can sometimes mean quick, abrupt life circumstances that help us step into a new role that is likely going to be very welcome. When we get into the energy of Neptune and we use it in a way that really works for us, this is unconditional spiritual love for the process. This is a connection to all things, and there are so many beautiful creative pieces of Neptune that really bring appreciation for life in as it is, in all of its beauty, in the good and the bad labels that we put on things. It doesn't really matter. That's the unconditional love part of Neptune. That is the energetic connection to all beings that we just are, and that's enough. And there's so much creativity that's born from the expressions of that, of the deep acceptance of the wild ride that human existence can sometimes be. So Cancer, enjoy this 8th house transformation, this psychological rebirth, this complete change of status and reputation and maybe career goals, who you are in this world, the people, the wild Uranian type people that support you and are here to help you along the way. And this Jupiterian blessing growth that you're going through in your sign. There's a lot to love about this shift and this upcoming new era that is hitting us all, but especially for you, Cancer, because you are one of the cardinal signs. Let me know how this is playing out in the comments below. I love hearing from you there. And if you would like to process more of this with a one-on-one Zoom reading with me, I will link that in the description below. Have a wonderful Neptune in Aries transit, and I look forward to chatting with you about it all along the way. I'll see you next time. Hi, Leo. This is a 9th house transit for you. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your 9th house is spiritual pilgrimage. It is spiritual seeking, but spiritual in the sense of wisdom. This can be embarking on a new learning journey. This can be expanding your mind and your beliefs in many, many different ways. Uranus is in your 10th house, soon to be in your 11th house. This means that work and communities networks people probably from work because there's a bit of overlap, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. You have career and public image and allies and people supporting you with this Uranus movement. Uranus is going to move into Gemini in July. So this is just another layer of the story when it gets into your 11th house of networks and community. But in your 10th house, this is your public image that is maybe making you question your values and your beliefs in some way. Or your education is changing to complement your career and to complement radical changes that you are going through with your career. Pluto is in partnerships and also sending lovely connections to this. So it is through other people that you are embarking on new knowledge and new mindset, new belief systems, and new ways of viewing the world. The 9th house is also foreign places, foreign people, foreign concepts. This is a part of gaining new knowledge. Jupiter is the traditional energy of the 9th house, and Jupiter is adventurous. It is a truth seeker. It is a knowledge seeker to be able to understand what the highest truths of the world are. And with Neptune here, that can often have a spiritual and creative flair, that the truths of the world are going to be Neptunian for you. You're going to have an emphasis on the subtle energy that connects all things. You are going to be feeling that Aries passion and flair, as you always do, because that is the ruler of your 9th house. But you're going to be combining more motivation for seeking knowledge in these energetic realms, as well as the discipline to carry forth this usefulness with that information. That's what Saturn is going to do. Saturn can even slow down that process so that you are taking tiny bites of this new information at a time. And it is when we learn things more slowly that we actually learn them better. If we learn them easily or too quickly, then they don't have the depth of significance that they can when Saturn comes in and slows things down. Very interesting combination for you in the 9th house to have Saturn encouraging that depth of knowledge when it comes to Neptunian-like things. And it could be that you're a teacher in this realm. That is also what the 9th house is. It is teaching and publishing. And you might have a role in first learning and making sense of this material with Saturn here, and then sharing it with the rest of the world. That could be part of why your 10th house and 11th house is so activated, that this is more than just your own higher knowledge and higher learning. This is about your 10th house and career and public image, and with Uranus moving into your 11th house. This is about to be about broadcasting it to different communities, networks, and groups that you are a part of. Broadcasting is one aspect. It can be lots of different things. It could just be that your communities and friends and networks that you surround yourself with are the players in you diving deeper into what these topics really mean to you and what really matters about Neptunian-like things like unconditional love. What really matters when it comes to that in your belief system and the way that you view the world. Is there tradition around your beliefs with Saturn there? Tradition around how you believe unconditional love in the world should work? Tradition around spirituality and how that has been brought into your life in the past versus how you think that it could go forward in this new era? With Aries here, this could be something brand new that surfaces. Saturn and Neptune and Aries are doing this dance back and forth. So your 8th house is going to be activated again this year, and that is about the psychological transformation. These two houses go really well together. The 8th house of psychological transformation, sudden reversals, metamorphosis, and Phoenix rising from the ashes type of energy, psychological healing. And then this new way of viewing the world changes. And in a practical sense, there can be matters to do with foreign things and foreign places as well, just as the side note. But I like to try to stick to the energy of these symbols more as a way of getting to the core of what is really going to be feeding most people's lives, because these are general readings. Jupiter will be in your 12th house of Cancer in June. And that could also bring some sudden overseas changes. 12th house also rules anything that is removed from society. So this is hospitals, prisons, rest, sleep, meditation, time away from the world in any way that this shows up. And Jupiter is going to be giving you more of that. But it's also creating tension to your 9th house with a square. And Jupiter is exalted in Cancer when it moves there on June 9th. So this square to Saturn and Neptune, it's going to bring beneficial things. The square process itself can be uncomfortable, but it's going to be amplified blessings in some way with Jupiter exalted in Cancer. It could have to do with a home overseas because we're talking about Cancer. It could have to do with family matters connected to overseas and foreign places. Saturn is the ruler of your 6th house and your 7th house. Neptune is the ruler of your 8th house. So these houses of work, partnership, and 8th house transformation get highlighted that much more. And Jupiter is your 5th. So maybe fun and overseas things are connected. Maybe for some of you that has to do with children and play and rest and foreign places. There's really so much overlap that can happen in different scenarios that can play out. Overall, the gist is the beliefs and the things that are foreign to you are going to start to be integrated in a way that really combines a lot of intangible information with that which is tangible. This is wonderful energy to create with, to write, to publish, to teach, to travel, to enjoy partnerships and connections and the support from other people. That's another thing that 8th house is resources from other people. Career changes. A lot going on, Leo. You let me know how this is going in the comments below. And if you would like to process some of this with a one-on-one Zoom reading with me, I will leave the link to my booking in the description below. Would love to see you there. That's really the best way to get a clearer sense of how your chart works with all of this energy at play. Thank you so much for being here, watching, liking, subscribing. It is really so much fun, and I will see you next time. Hi, Virgo. This transit is happening in your 8th house. Neptune and Saturn in your 8th house is about your deep, intimate bonds, your support from others, a significant especially support and resources from significant people in your life. This is complete transformation, metamorphosis, rebirth, death, birth. There's so much covered in the 8th house. Also taxes, payouts. This is a financial house. This is about the energy that is exchanged with other people. And you are about to restructure how you have gone about that in the past. Virgo can tend to be a sign that is the one that's in the shoes of being the supporter. So with the transit like this, you might have situations show up where you are the one that is receiving support, and you're learning how to do that energy exchange and allow that energy to come towards you. It's really a healthy balance. Virgo energy can tend to be depleted by this act of service that Virgo is known for, but if it's not in balance with receiving energy from the universe and others, then that's what can create illness, and why Virgo is also the sign for illness. You have beautiful support from all of the outer, slower moving planets. Uranus in your 9th house, soon to move into your 10th house in July. Jupiter will be in your 11th house, which has been in your 9th house. By June, it'll be in your 11th, where it is exalted. So connections, community. Uranus will be activating outrageous ideas, brilliant perspectives and belief systems, as well as your public image, which is the next journey it is about to go on come July. Pluto in your 6th is work and career. With Pluto transforming your 6th, this is also daily habits, routines, everything in your mundane day-to-day life that you get things done. This is the house of Virgo, and it can be the house of health and work as well. All of these parts of your chart lit up. This to me looks a lot like the big picture story is the resources you gain from the work that you do, from your career, your public image, and the connections that you have with other people in the world. You could have been going through training or teaching or publishing with Uranus in your 9th house, but you could have been the one receiving a lot of new information, and now you're sharing that information with the rest of the world. And it is bringing a lot of energy and support back to you, or at the very least, a radical transformation of your health from a psychological perspective. Changing your mind, changing your mindset, changing your beliefs, which you have already been doing, that can have a huge impact on your health habits, your health overall, your daily activities, and the way you go about your life. Jupiter is expanding your 11th house, and this is your communities, your networks, your audience, your allies, the people in life that support you. This can be long-held wishes coming true. This is in square to Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house when it enters Cancer in June, but it's going to be squaring those planets anyway. It'll just be an out of sign square before June. So there's some shift here in career and audience blessings, just expansion in the outer world overall for you, and what you're receiving from significant other people. So this really could be financial for a lot of Virgos. The 11th house is the money that we make from the work that we do. And the 8th house, of course, the 8th house also being such a financially supportive house from others. Saturn and Neptune are the rulers of your 5th, 6th, and 7th house. So there's some overlap there with your 8th. That means children, creative projects, hobbies, work, and partnerships are all part of this 8th house story that's unfolding as far as your transformation. Those details are going to be different for everyone out there. So the essence is really sticking to what is truly you. And the routines that are changing, you will be feeling more motivated to change some of those work routines and health routines with Saturn in Aries, and Saturn, the traditional ruler of your 6th house. And it might be resources focused this time in some way, or intimacy and deeper connection with significant people in your life. Especially because you have had so much energy in Pisces of your 7th house, this is partnerships. And the next step is the 8th house of intimacy. The partnership is established, and then we deepen the bonds. We transform psychologically. We expand in our resources that are combined with another person. Do watch for an ebb and flow, like I talked about in the intro, with Neptune being foggy, over idealistic sometimes, Saturn really opening up the opportunity for tough lessons, to create a strong foundation, and to go slow. So you could be over idealizing what intimacy looks like, and Saturn wants that to slow down. There could be traditional ways of bonding with resources and intimacy that don't necessarily lead to unconditional love and the Neptunian creativity and connection to all. And Aries is that brand new energy. You're used to having new and inspired ideas when it comes to psychological transformation and probably healing in that part of your life. Maybe there's something that's reaching a whole new level that you are sorting through a new fog when it comes to these psychological understandings. And it is that process of Saturnizing it and sorting through and making practical use and sense that you are able to create something brand new with psychological changes and deep psyche healing and reaching some of those wounded energetic places to bring healing and bonding and abundance. You're not going to be doing it alone, Virgo. This looks like incredible support from community and networks. Work and public image continues to go through radical change. You're going to be seen in a very unique way. And it could be these psychological transformations that you're going through that give you that Uranian public image of being outstanding and unique in some way, in that you're not just like everybody else that is in your career or in your field or out in the world talking about the things that you're talking about. There's something very unique that you are developing. It's going to be very idea-based because you have Gemini in the 10th house with Uranus there. Everyone is going to be going through Uranus and Gemini in some way, but extra potent for you to have that on the 10th house angle. And technically you have it on the 10th house angle right now with Uranus at the final degrees of Taurus. This is a pivotal shifting point from having this radical shift in your belief systems and maybe even your spiritual process to that being in the public eye more, or you being in the public eye more. And whatever it is that Saturn and Neptune end up getting up to in your 8th house, so many possibilities here. You let me know, Virgo, how this is going for you. If you would like to process with a one-on-one Zoom reading, I will link that in the description below. And otherwise, I will see you all along the way as we talk about this longer journey every step of the way. And I will see you next time. Hi, Libra. This is the 7th house journey for you. This is relationships, significant partnerships of all kinds. This can be karmic partnerships. Neptune is going to bring this quality of rose-colored glasses and striving for ideals, striving for the best things can possibly be. You might have this idea of what relationships should be in your life, especially as a Libra. And this romanticizing of relationships is what you can have. But Saturn is here to show you the steps and the work that needs to be put in to meet this ideal. There can be a lot of fluctuations in those two as we strive for something that with Neptune doesn't exist in form. It is an energetic state. It is a dream that could come to fruition. It is this energetic bubbling before it turns into matter. But Saturn has the ability to turn that into matter, to create a strong foundation, to uplift those Neptunian qualities and create some real alignment when it comes to your partnerships. Aries is going to mean that there is a type of self-identity and individuating that is necessary in this process. The more you lean into Aries energy for yourself as a Libra, which is your opposing energy, so this can be challenging. As a Libra, your skills are about seeing what other people need, seeing both sides of the coin, creating this diplomacy and peace because you understand the needs of another person and you understand other people. You understand what relationships take when it comes to the balance that's required in life and between two souls. And you will be putting that into action with this transit. Jupiter is at the top of your chart in Gemini originally, but then it moves into Cancer, where it is exalted in your 10th house. So you are going from wonderful ideas and transforming your beliefs about the world to an expansion in career, in your public visibility, in the way that you are seen and the way that you convey all of these wonderful pearls of knowledge that you have acquired. This is really strongly benefiting your relationships too, and it could create friction. It could create sudden drastic shifts, but this is an ingredient of Jupiter in your 10th house that is activating partnerships in your 7th. And beyond that, it is a welcoming activation of Neptune and Saturn's entry into your 7th house. We have Uranus in your 8th, soon to move into your 9th. We have Pluto in your 5th, and it will stay in your 5th for quite some time. But this welcoming triangle between Uranus and Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Aries is a really big deal. And you're going to feel supported in that process. There's going to be change. There's going to be upheaval with your work and career. There's going to be upheaval and transformation with your 5th house of creativity and self-expression, the house of Leo, where creative self-expression, hobbies, things that bring you fun, play, true love, children. These are all things that are deeply transforming, revolutionizing. It is in Aquarius and very strongly connected to partnerships. When we get into rulerships, this activates even more parts of your life. So Saturn is the ruler of your 4th and your 5th house. So your home and your children and your creativity, these are in positive connection to the 7th house changes you're going through. The ruler of your 3rd house and your 7th house. So communication and partnerships is a really big part of your career growth and success. There really ends up being a lot of overlap, but significant partnerships are turning your world upside down or vice versa. And your career changes are a big part of this. There could be significant people that you team up with in career or romantically that create all of these shifts with work and home and so on when it comes to the practical manifestations. But what I really like to get into is the essence of the energy, because that is what is going to be more present for all Libras out there. And the way that they physically manifest is always different. But the essence is about what is truly you on the inner world, what really brings you joy, what is the true alignment for your soul and who you are as an individual and how you express that. Those are the most important things to keep in mind with whatever other choices you are making when it comes to relationships, career, and home. With Neptune, there can be some fog and misunderstandings or not quite seeing things clearly to work through when it comes to partnerships. Saturn here brings the momentum and motivation for work and sorting through things, the desire to make things concrete, maybe bring some tradition into this mix. There will be a strong spiritual connection with Neptune, and Saturn is here to create some practical sense with that, practical application to your relationships and how you can continue to be uniquely you and your individual self, yet merge and have a spiritual connection with another person and probably a practical experience as well. Even though this hits many different houses for you, Libra, the core of the message is the same. It is that that process of being an individual, and how the more you align with that, the more you're going to have fun. And that is a juxtaposition to Libra energy overall. That is one of the opposites that Libra is trying to balance out on the axis for the entire experience of throughout life. And this journey is going to be a big chunk. Neptune is here for 14 years. Saturn is here for 3-ish. And the combination is really going to, especially in the beginning with Pluto and Uranus in conversation here, it's relationships that are going to be so transformative in your life. They're going to go through transformation, but they are also going to help you be more you within the partnership, compared to Libra being the peacemaker and being able to see all sides and understand everything. So they sometimes get lost in the ability to really get things from another person's perspective, and the desire for gentleness and diplomacy and Venusian type experiences, which Venus is the ruler of Libra. And so Libras do take on that quality, which can go quite well with Neptune. But Saturn is a whole other ballgame, especially Saturn in Aries, where we're talking about earth and fire and the concreteness of it. But you will feel that fire. You will feel that passion to. You could even be with somebody who's very autonomous, and it's in that process that you develop your own autonomy too, because Libra, because you have Aries as the 7th house ruler, that means you will attract partners into your life that have Aries-like qualities as well. Now you get to see what these people are like with a good dose of Neptune and Saturn to them too. But this is going to be the quality and energy of your partnerships for quite some time. So enjoy this one, Libra, and enjoy merging these energies. And again, like, they are all the elements that are not you. So you are the air element, and Neptune is water, Saturn is earth, Aries is fire. You are integrating all and balancing these elements, which you do well with balancing things that are different, but this is still a pretty neat elemental integration that you're doing within partnerships that's going to just fuel your soul, your creativity, your independence, your ability to feel like you can be yourself. That's another ingredient that Libras sometimes just feel like they just can't tap into as easily as other signs. And this is an opportunity to do just that. Thank you so much for being here, Libra. If you would like to process more of this with a live Zoom reading with me, check out the link in the description below. Otherwise, there will be lots of these videos all along the way, and I look forward to seeing you here. Thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing. It's all so much fun, and I will see you next time. Hi, Scorpio. This is the 6th house transit for you. So this is work, service, health habits, and just general habits in general, the things that you do on a day-to-day basis that get you where you want to go, or just the contributions you make in this world to yourself and to society. The 6th house is a house of service and health. It can be work and employees, and lackluster house maybe. But you have Aries here. So this has always been a spot where you feel motivated and inspired and you look forward to compared to some other signs. You might even have some fresh energy to pour into your work ventures and your routines and your health routines and your health experience, but then it just falls flat. It doesn't quite take off. It doesn't quite stabilize or manifest things in your life the way you might like it to. This is a turning point for that. Having Saturn in this part of your chart, along with Neptune, is going to bring creative flow, more optimism and idealistic ideas and creativity, and yet this practical, grounded space to have those take off, flourish, really stand the test of time, which is what Aries can lack on its own. This is a beautiful combination to have all three, yet they are three separate elements and three very different energies to incorporate and embody. But when you do, your health is going to reach new peaks and your work as well. Your ability to enjoy day-to-day life. There is some fog to work through first with Neptune. There can be these idealistic goals and things that you're setting out to venture on, yet this uninformed optimism and lacking the ability to really understand what the full scope of the venture and the practice might look like. Saturn is here to help you with that whole process. It is going to slow things down and it is going to bring experiences that help bring that grounded practicality to Neptune and Aries and give it the energy and foundation to really take hold and take off in the way that you need. Saturn here can bring some slowdowns with health or with work, and this can appear frustrating on the surface. This is not going to be the case for everyone, but in some cases this can be the way that it manifests, and even the fog can be frustrating when it comes to the work of the house of productivity, the house of work and organization and getting things done and functioning. But it's those two ingredients that are the slowing down and the lack of clarity and misunderstandings sometimes with Neptune, just lack of clarity essentially. Those are the things that when we really work hard to understand something that is not clear, or we work hard to put form to something that has no form, this is where we get this mastery of energy and understanding of how things work, of how to organize your life, of how to create habits and routines that are super functional and healthy. But we don't learn as much when that comes easily. So with Neptune and Saturn in the mix, your ability to go deep into this detective work of what you want to learn and apply to those parts of your life is really going to create profound change. And you have support. You have Uranus and Pluto sending beautiful sextiles to Saturn and Neptune, welcoming them in Aries. A trine between Uranus and Pluto. These are activating your 4th house, your 7th house, and your 8th house. Uranus is going to change signs in July, but for the beginning, it will be finishing off your 7th house where you have had radical transformation and ideas with partnerships. And now it's going to be about the shared resources. How do you merge your resources with other people and maybe create new ways of merging resources or getting support from others or just making joint assets work for you, especially related to home. There could be some big transformations on the home front. And all of these are combining energy to help you with the 6th house of work and routine. Jupiter from your 9th house as well. It will be exalted in Cancer by June. And that is sending a square to this new transit in Aries as well. A square can bring energy of tension and disruption, severing, shifting out of the blue. It's Mars-like energy. But with a Jupiter, especially an exalted Jupiter, it is benefits that are going to create these changes. And for many humans, change that is force from the outside always has a adjustment and sometimes discomfort, even when it's good. It's this over expansion of family related, cancer related topics that are going to be helping this situation. Maybe you have family from overseas that are spending a lot of time with you in your day-to-day world, and your home is changing in some way to accommodate that. And this could create friction, but at the same time, they're helping you with your routines and helping you get work done. Or there can be so many practical ways this plays out. Saturn in your 9th house will overall just be expanding your ideas, expanding the way that you perceive family and connection and security and your beliefs around those topics. If you view security and family differently, there's a chance that that is what can be really dramatically changing your health and your work. Saturn and Neptune are the rulers of home and communication and authentic self-expression and children. So you could be working in these departments as well, or community around your home, your neighbors, siblings, close relatives of the 3rd house, ultimately communication, home, and creativity that are more part of your work journey than ever, and your health journey too. There are so many ways this can play out, Scorpio. If you would like to hear more detail on how it relates to your personal chart, check out my link in the description below. Otherwise, there will be plenty of videos along the way to talk more about this transit and all of its nuances over the next several years. But thank you so much for just being here for this one, for watching and liking and subscribing. It really means so much, and I will see you next time. Hi, Sag. This is a 5th house transit for you. So this is creative self-expression, children, fun, romance, hobbies, play. This is your joy from being aligned with your authentic self, and children can be a part of that. Having Aries in the 5th house means that you have a zest for creativity. You have a zest for creative self-expression. This is really who you are as a Sag too. You have a zest for life. You are a fire sign. So this is going to be particularly helpful for who you are as an individual, because this transit will trine your 1st house, which, depending on your own personal chart, will come at different stages. So there's going to be a Neptune and Saturnization happening in your 5th house, but also sending rays to your 1st house, transforming self. And ultimately, that passion that you have for maybe children, maybe being childlike and spontaneous and brave and taking initiation, there's going to be more responsibility, tradition, and longevity tied into that. You get to have something that really stands the test of time when it comes to 5th house topics. And you're adding more creativity. Neptune has the power to dissolve old ways of being and making room for the new. This dissolving process also connects this part of your chart to all. So this can be a big boost of creative influence. It is through this creativity that you might be feeling more childlike and more autonomous and more in alignment with how you have always seen yourself. Pluto and Uranus are sending beautiful rays from your 3rd house and your 6th house. Communication and work and health routines are going to be huge in this process. You're going to be transforming the way that you express yourself. That is going to be coming from a place that is more authentic. And it is this passion and drive for your creative self-expression that is going to be influencing the transformation of your speech and your thoughts. These are day-to-day thoughts, the way that you use your mind on a day-to-day way and practical level. This is writing and the house of avenue of expression. So media, communication, of all sorts. Uranus is going to be in your 6th and 7th house, so this is going to change signs in July, and you are going to have more of this radical revolutionary change coming from partnerships. You're going to be attracted to people who have Uranian qualities, and they're going to really shake your world up a little bit. They're going to bring this burst of new and innovative energy to your life. You're going through that right now with work and health, and Uranus also has the ability to, it revolutionizes and transforms, but it does so in sometimes a disruptive way, because it needs to really break down the old to make way for the new. Its influence is likely to break some old ways of being in health and work. And after July, it is going to be with relationships. And this is going to have a positive influence on who you are at the core, who you are when you are your most childlike self, when you can play and adventure as Sagittarians love to do. What does that look like? What does that look like with other people? And what does it look like to express yourself in a different way so that these things all line up? You might be going on more short distance trips. That could be part of the activation in your 3rd house with Pluto. Or if you have done a lot of short distance traveling, that could be changing. Ultimately, for most Sages, this is going to be communication transformation. The old ways of communicating are closing a chapter, and you are attracting experiences that help challenge and bring to the surface new ways of communicating. Jupiter in June will be in your 8th house, squaring Neptune and Saturn's entry into Aries. This is interesting to have Jupiter in the 8th exalted. So your ability to do complete psychological reversals, sudden changes in resources and merging resources with another person is very strong and very beneficial. And that can create some sudden shifts in your 5th house when it comes to all of these topics: children, creative self-expression, hobbies, play, and dating. So it could go both ways. Your shared resources can shift your creativity, or your creativity somehow shifts partnerships and shared resources and assets that you have at your disposal because they belong to someone else who's helping you out in some way. And these assets can really be in any form, but they're something that is supportive and helps you develop more fun and autonomy and health and creative self-expression. Jupiter in your 8th house can be a wonderful time for psychological healing as well as shared resources with another person. And it might be both, often at different times through a transit, because Jupiter will be there for a whole year. We will have different parts of what that house represents accentuated and healed. Jupiter is your ruler too, so that makes it extra potent. And it is going to be healing 8th house topics. There could be things that you didn't even realize were under the surface that were holding you back from creativity and holding you back from joy and tapping into true fun. And maybe you had the sense that there's something that was restricting that in your life, but you just didn't know what. And Jupiter in your 8th house brings that up, and then you're able to really tap into that creative self-expression. And when your creative self-expression is amped up, you need to change the words and the ways that this comes out. You might even feel compelled to start a podcast or share stuff on social media. Maybe a new writing project with Pluto in your 3rd house in strong connection to this energy. You could be going through a lot of psychological healing, and that is motivating you to write and share your story. And in that process of writing and sharing your story, you emerge with this new creative being that you didn't realize was so vast in there, which is that Neptune vastness that you're going to experience in that fifth house, that your creativity is limitless. It is unconditional. It is this like tap that you can turn on and just pour more out of whenever you want. Saturn is going to show you how to use this in a practical way and how to really, sometimes with Neptune qualities, and this can happen a lot with what we had with Neptune and Pisces in your fourth house, is that we just get lost in the fog. And this nice mix of fire and earth with Aries and Saturn alongside Neptune really gives the potential for growth of something to come out of it. And for you, this looks like creative projects. This could be children. This could really manifest as so many things. And if you would like to hear more about how this fits with your personal birth chart, check out my link in the description below. I would love to see you for a one-on-one Zoom reading. I will continue to talk about these transits all along the way. I look forward to seeing you here. Thank you so much for being here, liking, subscribing, but really just giving this video a good listen. Thank you, and I will see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is a fourth house transit for you. Saturn and Neptune in your fourth house is your home, your inner world, the home that you came from. It is your mother. It is the family lineage. It is the way that you were raised. It is your hometown. It is the current home that you live in. But energetically, I like to talk about this house as what goes on inside of us, what goes on at the bottoms of our chart, at the very foundation of our soul that the rest of the world doesn't always get to see. This is transformation and breaking through the fog of what has been going on inside of you and with your whole family lineage. This is an opportune time to do internal family systems work or look at the way that you were raised and the choices that you want to make moving forward that might be similar or different from the things that you innately took on from your family and surroundings. There's an automatic way that we go about things that we don't even think about sometimes, especially when it comes to what we take on from our family. Uranus in your fifth house and Pluto in your second house, transforming your creative self-expression and your worth, your self-worth, the way that you treat yourself, the way you take care of your body, the way that you feed yourself, and your assets, your possessions. This is creating a beautiful triangle of communication between these three areas of your chart. And it's like a welcoming package for Neptune and Saturn in your fourth house. It's a supportive welcoming package of the slower moving planets, which are the overarching picture of your life. I base a lot of my readings on the overarching slower moving planets. These are the bigger picture of what is going on. And then it's the slower moving planets that create the month to month, the day to day and week to week detail of how this story is unfolding. But this video and these planets that I'm talking about today are going to be the overarching theme for quite some time. 14 years with Neptune, 19 years more with Pluto, and about 7 years with Uranus. So this shift in planetary positions this year and next year is sticking around for quite some time. And you're going to start to see situations show up that help you grow and develop these parts of your life. Now, with Uranus and Pluto, these things really happen outside of us. The ways that Uranus and Pluto force transformation can sometimes feel uncomfortable, but the lessons are that much more valuable, that much more rewarding when we get to the other side. So keep that in mind with any of the videos that you see out there from myself or from other people, that those shifts that the world creates for us that we sometimes resist, or that change that feels uncomfortable, it has its gifts, and it will pay off as more resilience and more ability to navigate the waves of life and the craziness that can come of it. Because as a Capricorn, you are used to Saturn energy. You like the slow and stable. You're comfortable. And this does depend on everyone's personal chart. I always like to emphasize that. So this is just speaking about Capricorn energy in general, and everyone is a combination of all signs. But where your Capricorn is, depending on how strong it is, you are going to enjoy slow, steady, calculated movements. You're going to sometimes even feel a little depressed over how slow and steady and calculated life becomes. But there's this predictability in this amount of effort creates this amount of result, and that is ultimately what we're going for. Neptune with Saturn is going to make these stages a little murkier. We went through this as Saturn was in Pisces, and that's one of the reasons that as a condition, Saturn is not super comfortable in Pisces, because it makes everything a little less clear. Murky and soggy, I was calling it at one point. And Saturn wants a strong, stable ladder rung to climb on. But it's combining these energies that creates the most success, that creates something really dynamic and wonderful and beautiful. And you get to have this in your inner world, in your home. You're going to find that creativity and unconditional love and spiritual purpose, connection to spirit, connection to all things. You can have fun and spontaneous Aries as well as these Saturn and spiritual qualities of Neptune. You can dissolve old parts of yourself to create a strong foundation with Saturn helping out. And it's going to be a foundation that is strongly connected to your ever-growing self-worth with Pluto in your second house, the way that you are changing the foods that you eat, the clothes that you wear. Your internal world is going to shift at the same time. So could your home as a result. And your creative self-expression and work. As Uranus switches signs from your 5th house to your 6th house, you are going to feel the radical changes that you've been going through with children, fun, joy, pleasure, hobbies, connecting to that authentic creative self, and that childlike version of yourself is where that creativity often goes hand in hand. You're wrapping that up with Uranus, so that radical change is now going to go into your routines, your work life, your health, the way that you execute daily tasks and your habits, which goes so well with the 2nd house and the 4th house. This is beneficial triangle and the welcoming committee that we have going on as Neptune and Saturn transit into Aries. This is hitting some key foundational parts of who you are at the base of your chart. And Capricorn, being an earth sign, is a very steady sign. So this foundational shift is quite profound. And if it brings more fun, if it brings more creativity and more ability to meld with the energy around you, then you're really going to have the best of both worlds, Capricorn. You have this innate ability to create functional, practical, tangible, strong foundation and results. And now you get to expand this into something that's creative and uniquely you. And don't forget, no matter what situations show up, that this is about creating something more authentic and knowing that what you have to offer is so special because it is uniquely you. And it doesn't have to always have structure. It doesn't always have to have form or a strong foundation. You can trust that a foundation can be ripped down and a new one can be built. And over again, it's going to be about more truth, more being in our true expression of self, and making that work as a societal construct. I really see this transit as optimizing how we enjoy being an individual in this society, and that it's not just about the greater good. It's not just about the self. It's not about creating a secure place in the world all the time, but it is about aligning with what really matters most and really understanding who we are in this human expression and as a soul expression. And that's what you're doing, is combining both in the fourth house. You are experiencing this duality of form and soul, and making that a new expression of self. Jupiter in your 7th house is exalted in Cancer, and it is squaring Saturn and Neptune in your 4th house. This is another really big piece of the story. This is going to be happening in June, and you will have Jupiter in your 7th house for a whole year. But this is really interesting to have this square to the core of who you are as a person in the beginning of this transit. There is going to be an important person in your life who is a part of opening up this inner world of form and spirituality and deep emergence to the connection of all, which is Neptune. Unconditional love is one of the promises of Neptune in your 4th house. And that means unconditional love at home, unconditional love for yourself. With this square to Jupiter, there could be something that cracks, that splits, that breaks you open, or a partnership, or just the partner comes in that really quickly activates an opening in your home or inner world. Or your home and inner world could change something with a partner. But there's a quick friction of movement that is part of this story in June. And there will be other pieces of it too. But this is all happening in the matter of March, April, May, June, and then Uranus changes signs in July. So this is a wildly impactful time for humanity, but for each person at an individual level too. And Capricorn, you are no exception because of this activation with home and partnership. The quadrants, the axes in the quadrants being activated for you in the foundation of your chart and partnerships. So for everyone, these energies are playing out, but for you, they're happening at the axis of the 4th, which is extra potent, and the axis of the 7th, which is extra potent. And you have just gone through the Pluto transformation. So it's an interesting trickle effect, or just rolling out of the process, that you just finished 18 years of Pluto transforming you. And now you're getting this partnership and home activation that is ready to change, that is ready to match the new you. Jupiter brings blessings in relationships. So regardless of the square, it is extra blessed in Cancer. And no matter what happens with significant partners, there are going to be lots of karmic and significant events that take place with other people that are going to support this path, support a new home life for you, a new inner world for you, and a new sense of value and expression of self and purpose. So much good stuff here, Capricorn. I can't wait to talk about it with you all along the way. If you would like to see how this affects you with your personal birth chart, check out my link in the description below. And otherwise, I will have lots of videos along the way here. I look forward to seeing you and love reading your comments in the comments below. Thank you for listening, for watching, for subscribing, and just for being here. I will see you next time.